Welcome back, listeners, to the Brighter Side of Blue Worldwide Podcast. I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
And you notice, people, if you notice one little thing, that's producer John.
There he
On
is. Camera.
Producer John, why don't you have your garb on? Why don't
He's got the hat. That's a good hat.
No,
I can't wear both because then you look
Yeah, I
like
agree. 100%. One or the other.
No,
it looks like a uniform. Then.
I'm referring to the Lee jean shorts, 6-pocket shorts.
Oh, it's
New
it's
Balance.
waist up picture.
You should be modeling your own stuff.
There will be a runway modeling of it in the near future.
Nobody wants to see that
One
shit.
of our on-location things, we're going to have a little producer John runway.
Yes,
I
definitely.
love it.
That we should name the top 7 male models that we recommend for this runway. John being 1, Steve Hobbs number 2, and that's my pick. Bunko would look good in those.
Okay.
All great
Keep going.
suggestions so far.
I'm on a
Keep
roll
going,
with
yeah.
that. Yeah.
You just keep going. We'll just leave it to you.
Yeah. I know.
I'm not saying anybody.
I'm going to have a casting call.
Nobody will call. Trust me.
Jack will help me.
Jack,
Huggy's under the weather, though. Got to wish Huggy can get well soon.
get well, Huggy.
Huggy's hugging the toilet right now.
Yes, he is.
And it's not from drinking,
He
apparently.
appreciates us telling everybody that too.
That's
no,
all right.
I think he got it from his. I'm not gonna say anything. Don't want to give it away, but yeah, I think he got it from family members.
Okay.
Okay. How you feeling?
I'm perfect. He wasn't around me.
Okay. All right. That was almost a faux pas.
Well, with the Barneys, so when this airs, the Barneys have been last night. And everybody at the location will understand that they have all agreed for an NDA for Huggy. That
Is
they will not
anybody still
reveal
hungover from that night?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Dude, I got to think that I'm going to be pretty hungover the next day.
We got Ubers lined up. It's gonna be
Uber's
perfect.
lined up.
Ubers, exactly, because that's how we roll.
That's right.
Yeah. So NDA. You
Everybody there is under an NDA, and we're not scared to sue anybody. We'll sue the shit out of somebody.
our legal
Actually,
our legal budget is ginormous.
Hey, our producer has some contacts with some attorneys and judges, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll get you. So keep your
Damn
mouth
right.
closed.
Yep.
Because Huggy may be revealed at.
I don't know how we can't. You got to sit there and do Huggy stuff.
Yeah.
John misses it when Huggy ain't here. He had to show us videos and everything else on the 2 interviews we had. Pictures.
Get well soon, Huggy.
Jack, brother Jack, how we doing with a? Get on in the picture. Give us a social media update.
Yes, sir. We have officially hit 500,000 views across platforms, so that's a big accomplishment. I think that's pretty damn fast for most things. So, very cool to see that. I'm gonna keep hitting you with this. Get us on the Brighter Side of Blue. It's on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. So you know where to find us, baby. Come on.
Yeah, that's
you go.
good.
There you go. Jack.
500,000 views.
I wonder how that pimping went last night.
It would.
Jack is single, and we're going to continue to try find Jack some love in his life.
We're having to get him a drop phone. All the calls coming in.
Exactly. Huggy's at the helm.
500,000 views.
That's pretty cool.
Sponsors coming in. Grassroots podcast.
Yes, we're getting some interest with that, and so one of our sponsors now is Jeff Jensen and Hush Blackwell, and Jeff really enjoys our mission statement, and and again, we don't want to read it like I still love that comment. You can't read it like it's a hostage fucking letter,
Jack.
but no, that just to memorialize all the great police work. And we had another guy on here today with Jason Grellner. We had another the officer of the week, and what was his name, Danny? Sergeant Tony
Moutre.
And just get as many people as we can on this podcast that we can just get on here for like a reason, and not a reason so much, but everybody doesn't have to have these hour-long stories for us to get you on, to have fun. And we really want to expand our platform to and I know this is getting a long mission statement today, but to get these guys on all these stories memorialized and show you guys some of the characters that are involved in police work, and to do it in a fun way and just in a positive way, and just kind of leave all the silliness out of it, all the bullshit, and
Well, there's plenty of silliness and bullshit,
right,
as
that we
well.
can make funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's what we'll do.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to do, and that's what
Absolutely.
the show's doing.
And,
And
thank you, Jeff
500,000
Jensen.
people have seen what we're up to, and thanks, Jeff Jensen, for sponsoring that.
I also
mission
want to
statement.
thank JJ for staying awake during Tom's
Mission statement.
bloviation.
That was a bloviation. That was a bloviated mission statement.
I
Hey,
I
it
actually
was right
did,
on the money, though.
I
Wasn't
did
it?
zone
It
out
was.
for a little bit.
You did?
Yeah, to JJ, that is not unusual.
How's your driving going?
I've had no incidents.
No
I
incidents.
call bullshit. I know that dude's had an incident.
I'm not
My,
commenting. I'm not, I can't keep talking about these incidents, but there are some stupid people out there driving.
Anything that happened at the St. Patrick's Day parade yesterday?
No, it was nice. It was a good crowd. The weather was perfect, and then it got cool enough in the evening that it cleared out for the first time. And I can remember by 6 o'clock, Dogtown was pretty much done.
Beautiful.
Great.
My
The
daughter.
Sunday, I
like
think
they
the Sunday
used to.
night too, and then they have, people
Back
have
to
to
back.
work the next day.
Back to back, because a lot of people went to that Saturday.
Right. That was actually perfect, probably. But there was a good crowd. I mean, it was packed. It was wall to wall people in the streets, so it was neat. Jack, would you go down there? It was,
Jack said that's a no. Jack did not.
I do say one thing. It seemed like been a lot of fun if I could actually go and just participate instead of being there as a police officer.
I always felt like that.
That's
That's
go
why.
to the parade right now.
What's that?
That, like, if you were off that day, you would have went down there.
Probably not.
Okay, I just want to clear that.
But
up.
I think it would
Back
be
in
fun.
the day, yeah.
We
Back
went
in
to the
day.
Blues when they won the Stanley Cup down there, Maggie's. That was awesome.
This is a St. Patrick's Day parade.
I know,
not
but
a
just that
Stanley
same
Cup
kind of
parade.
crowd. It was
No,
that.
it wasn't.
All right.
I know how you feel like that though, because I used to. I used to work secondary for Colonel Lashock down at the ballpark,
Yep.
and I got fired 3 different times by Colonel Lashock. I
the
couldn't
ballpark?
stand. Yeah, but I couldn't stand to be there
Were
in
you fired or
uniform.
suspended? I guess you were
No,
No,
suspended.
he fired him.
Yeah, you remember. You remember these days. I'd sit there in uniform, and these people are eating hot dogs and peanuts and having cold beer, just enjoying the game with their friends, and I'm sitting there, and it's just torture to watch.
Wait a minute.
So I couldn't do it.
That's not why you got fired.
Well,
because
no,
you-
but listen. So numerous times, I would, the schedule would come up, and Lashock would give me, "Hey, Danny, you're working these 6 days this month. These are the days that you agreed you're available, and these days you're going to be there." So as soon as the day came up, I'm like, I don't feel like going down there and doing that. But I'd always be conscientious and find a replacement. But I didn't know, JJ, that he didn't play that.
No.
It's not your job to find a replacement. It's your job to have your ass there when you said you could be there. So the second time I did it, a replacement was there. I thought that's all I was required to do. He said, "Hey, Danny, I'm taking a schedule. You're out. You're out.
Fired.
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 And I
he's
was
one
like,
of your best friends.
best friend. And I'm telling you. But he goes, but we are still best friends. We're playing poker this. We're going to play tennis here. We're going to do this. But you're not working for me anymore down at the ballpark. A couple months later, there's a big series coming in, or Yankees are coming in, or there's a wild card game or something. And I said, "Hey, Jerry, can I come back?" Come back? He goes, "Yeah, you can come back." I'd work like one game, and I'd do the same thing. I'd get a replacement. He fired me. Then Major Sean Dace, the third time, said, "Hey, the next season, you need to give Danny another shot." I did the same thing, and he fired me, and that was the end of it. That's what you remember, JJ?
Yes, exactly what I
He
remember.
finally got pulled off the field for good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he said
Pulled off
that's
the
it.
field, you're
and he
out.
said that's it. But I thought about that story because you said you'd like to sit there and actually partake in the festivities
right.
at Dogtown. And
Well, I remember thinking, man, he hired him back. And then it was like
He
a
must
couple
really
weeks-
like him.
And a couple weeks later, I was like, "Where's Danny? Has he worked any games?" He goes, "No, I fired him."
It's not for everybody.
I'm not a jealous person by nature, but yeah, if I'm watching my friends eat and drink and I'm working, I can't stand it.
I can't stand it.
I'd just rather be in the worst alley in the city than watching my friends eat and drink in front of me.
so I never worked secondary again.
Really?
At 34 years on the job, that was it. I didn't work secondary.
You got a salty taste in your mouth for that?
Well, yeah, I didn't want to risk the fourth time.
But it
being
was cool. I
fired.
mean, I saw a lot of people I knew. That was fun. So I actually kind of walked in the crowd and saw, Brian McKenna and his brother. It was a lot of fun. Then Pat Welch showed up, and
Good.
Yep.
Did you go by Horgan's house?
no, heard about it.
It's
But-
good spot.
JJ, you got a buddy that is our first sponsor
Yes, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to do the. I'm going to.
Hold on now. Where's the music?
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, well, JJ's
not
on to
done.
something here.
No, go ahead. You can if you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the sponsor after.
Okay.
I'm going to take the guessing game out of this.
Oh, I like to guess.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
you
I get
understand.
All right.
Why this one? This is actually a Zen quote. This is actually, I didn't make this up. This is a Zen quote.
You made the other ones up?
No. But I just want to verify because you're going to think maybe that.
Weren't they all quotes?
Yeah.
Isn't JJ Zen a litany of quotes?
Yes. But I just want to people think that I didn't make this one up. And you'll see why when I say it.
Okay. I'm waiting. JJ Zen.
Only when you can be extremely pliable and soft can you be hard and strong.
What just happened?
Only
Is that a toilet paper commercial?
no. Only when you can be extremely pliable and soft can you be extremely hard and strong. And that's
Who's that?
What the hell does that mean?
What is that?
Cock and balls?
What is that?
Sir Cock and balls?
I read that this morning.
Got that from his friend, the
I
porn
kept laughing.
fluffer.
I kept laughing.
John Holmes?
Oh man,
I don't even know what that is. No, I'm not giving you that.
So that's sponsored by Eddie Messplay from American Republic Insurance.
He's gonna pull his money back.
We're gonna have to give him a refund.
Hey,
Like that.
we owe him money for this.
Sorry,
Ed.
Ed.
Hey, he is.
What the hell?
He's an expert in Medicare and health insurance. He's 25 years doing it, and he's going to appreciate this one, I'm sure.
Where can I get a hold of him
You
at,
can get a
Jimmy?
hold of him at 636-240-8530. 636-240-8530. Ed, thanks for this one. I really appreciate it. I think he sent it in to me and said, use this one.
No.
Can we read it
Ed.
again?
Whose quote was
Yeah,
that?
let's read
This
it
was-
again.
no.
Yeah.
Try it one more time.
This
Poor
was
Ed.
this really Zen. Now, I can show you it on my phone. It's a real Zen quote. Only when you can be extremely pliable and soft, you can be extremely hard and strong,
Sir Cock and balls.
like bull.
Okay, whose quote is that?
This is, I
Sir
swear to
Cock
God,
and
it's,
balls.
it's a Zen quote. It's a Zen quote.
I know, but is it attributed to somebody?
All it says is Zen.
Okay.
That's who
Zen
you
quote.
attribute it to?
Zen
I
quote.
find it.
Right.
I find it not relaxing. I find it not peaceful.
Well, I think it's kind of appropriate.
I
for
find it
what
confusing.
We're gonna,
I find it perverted.
Well, and actually,
and we talk about the meth. is
disturbing.
good.
when we talk about
Disturbing.
what about the meth? It kind of sets up his meth moment.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
He has a meth moment coming up.
Oh yeah. With Jason Grauner, our guest tonight.
One of our guests, a frontline warrior on
So
the
you-
war on meth.
The
So
most.
you guys don't find that Zenish,
No, not at all. Producer John.
Jack? I like it. Thanks, man. That was
I thought of toilet paper being pliable
And soft.
strong, and strong at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe producer John toilet paper coming this summer.
Zen
maybe
was-
Charmin was
yeah,
very
he's-
Zenish.
Right.
Hey, you know what?
Every-
Every Zen can't be a grand slam. It's
Last
our
week
most
was a good one.
Yeah, it was very
Oh,
good.
last week he hit that one hard.
I think you're hitting about 900, but
He is hitting pretty
I
good.
kind of think tonight sucked.
I thought that was great. I thought it was funny. Made me laugh.
Yeah,
we found that. We knew that.
Let's go home and do some Zen kind of meditation on that.
And see if we
and
can
it-
reconsider it.
And it might make sense in a few weeks.
Yeah, because it's not. I don't even know what it's referring to.
You guys think you try to make it sexual. It's not.
Okay. Okay, then take it away from us. What is it supposed to be?
I don't know.
Ed's not going to talk to you anymore, I guarantee
Thanks,
you.
Ed, for the
Hey.
sponsor, buddy.
Just
We'll
letting you
put
know.
producer John and newsroom.com on it. Do you have something from newsroom.com for us tonight?
See,
I do.
Does it have anything to do with Kate Middleton
or the royal family.
or the royal family?
It doesn't appear to, but I can kind of work them in. If you want.
No.
This is from 2016, a newer one. It just kind of caught my eye. There's a man named James Walsh who, this is in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in 2016. He went in a Walmart and tried to steal a 58-inch TV because it was Christmas time. You know, I guess he wanted it for his family or whatever. So he went out one door, and the security guy caught him, so he ran back in. He ran out another door. Well, they start chasing him around. Well, James had the bad fortune of picking the day that the Port St. Lucie Police Department was doing Shop with a Cop Day. So there was like 20 policemen in there with little, disadvantaged kids shopping, and they all chased him around the store, and they ended up catching him and tackled him. And it was
James couldn't have seen 20 coppers
Well, they're not in uniform.
shopping and
Right.
They're off duty.
no, I think they are in uniform.
I think you're right. They
Yeah.
did.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
it wouldn't.
so-
It wouldn't have the same effect.
He didn't
Yeah.
do his homework.
Yeah, he did not do his homework.
no, he got hit with about 5 or 6 charges, and
It's probably 5 or 6 other things too.
James Walsh did that, right?
so James Walsh. Hopefully, he's still in jail just because he's so stupid.
Well, he thought it said shoplift with a cop.
Well, he was good on that one, but they didn't help him out. They just they unceremoniously.
But how do you carry a
threw him
big
down.
screen TV out and not
Slowly.
get caught?
Plasma.
It's hard to run with that, I would think.
Plasma. Aren't they
Not
like
Still, they're
plasma.
awkward. They're
Not
big.
LCD
LCD
or LED.
Yeah.
Hey James, if
One
you're
of
listening, call in and let us know.
Or
what
just
you were
email us
thinking.
what you were thinking. Shoplift with a cop. Newsroom.com.
Newsroom.com.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything close to the exploding duck one to come back.
No, that's
with
my
this
favorite
week.
one ever.
That one
The
was
Kia
good.
Cup. The Kia Cup.
That one's going to be
Duck.
tough to top.
2 weeks in a row, we've had some people that have testified before Congress on our show.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, Lieutenant Jason Grellner is going to blow your minds with what he knows about methamphetamines and what he has done. He holds a record for disassembling 1,261 meth labs.
Pretty crazy how meth. Remember how big that was back in
Yeah.
the day?
Unbelievable.
And you would just, and then you still to this day, as a, one of those kind insults, to your friends. Hey, you meth head.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of that craze that was going on, that these people were just, they were coming up with, you remember the old faces of meth?
Yeah.
You'd, after like 4 years,
I had one in my phone. I tried to find. I couldn't find
And,
it.
Well, you can see you lock people up and you look at their previous booking photos over the
Oh, yeah.
years when they first
Right.
started
Yeah,
meth.
it didn't take
And
that long.
It
either.
didn't take, and their faces deteriorated and their teeth fell out and it came
Yep.
sunken in, and it's a horrible thing.
But Jason, he was right on the front lines. He was in there, Franklin County, when it started, and then, the meth labs just took over, and he was just very interesting. JJ was very interesting during that. He was.
Well,
told
the
us-
chemistry part started to put me to sleep a little bit.
The parts per million.
parts per million.
Yeah, right.
That parts per million kind of got you fading. didn't it?
The Kool-Aid analogy, JJ was just
He's right
loved
on
it.
the money on
right
that,
on
though.
the money with
Hey.
that.
Right on the money.
I've been to the training.
So the listeners, you'll
Right.
figure that out when you listen to Lieutenant Grellner.
And actually,
talk.
if you can tie in his
Zen-
little zen
Zen-
with his little Kool-Aid,
his
maybe.
Zen seizure.
You never know.
I don't know about that. You guys made it perverted.
No, we didn't. We were confused. We were totally
Right,
confused.
we made it perverted. Yeah, nobody could've-
Only when you can be extremely pliable and soft that you can be hard and strong.
He cut out some. That was just my notes. I didn't write it all down.
He left
Thank
out.
God.
He left out a couple verbs in there and shit.
did.
I don't know.
Yeah, you
He
did.
just-
That's
he didn't
okay.
write it out.
You got the extent.
I got
You
the gist.
got to be extremely hard and soft, or hard.
No,
hard-
but the other
hard and
person we had
strong.
on was the officer of the week, Tony
Moutre.
Moutre. And
Sergeant Tony Moutre.
Actually, he did a really good job. I think.
Absolutely.
He's
good job.
actually
North County op.
had a good sense of humor about it too.
The troops
Yeah.
sent him our way, and then what was revealed is, you'll find that out. Who he's related to? He's related to a previous guest that we've had on.
Yeah.
One of our very first guests, and we will not spill that. You got to listen to the next segment, right?
Yes, and he will talk about. He has a great sense of humor. He'll talk about a viral video, and we're going to show you all of his patrol car on duty being stolen by a person, and the video of that went viral over
7 million.
1.7 million views.
Yeah.
And he's in our
His
studio
kids were
laughing
telling him about it. Yeah, his kids
Yeah.
were telling him about it.
So that comes first. He is our fourth officer of the show, and
You know what else I'd like to mention is that our next, so when this airs, we will be one on location behind us.
yep.
Our next one will be at the old 3rd District station at 12th and Lynch, right by the Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
We don't have a date yet. We're getting everything together, but we're definitely having it there. It'll be at the end of April. One of the
Do we have a theme?
Or a sponsor?
it's going to be the 3rd district, obviously. That'll and try to get some guys on there from the old 3rd, Rich Banahan and Bob Zambo and some others. But parking is available right over there at AB, right across the street. So there'll be plenty of parking. And if it's nice out, what's really neat about the 3rd district is it's still in its exact same structure.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've done some different decorating and a few different things, but they still have the cells in there, the old garage, the sergeant's room, the desk area is all what it used to be. Different decor around there. And I think that'll be really fun for a lot of older police, or for a lot of policemen, and a lot of people that didn't know aren't policemen. It's just a nostalgic building.
Oh, yeah.
That is very cool.
Historic.
So that's going to be our next show. We're going to be announcing
On the road.
the date of that on our next show.
Okay.
We'll be announcing it at Barney's when that date's going to be and what we're going to do on that show.
Cool.
Beautiful. That's awesome. So before we go on to the Officer of the Show segment, it's sponsored by retired city copper Nick Harbo, who is now a night watch policeman in Baldwin, and he listens to he's up to date on all the episodes. Is this episode 18?
That's up there.
19.
19, episode 19. He's up to date.
It's 20.
Oh, man,
Jack's saying 20.
It's 20. Holy cow. But anyway, talk about grassroots. We have a night watch patrolman that insisted on being a sponsor and giving his hard-earned money to sponsor the show so that we can employ Jack Milliken. So, but anyway, we're grassroots.
And thank you, Nick. That's awesome.
Nick, thank you.
That
And,
is
and Nick, please text me. Return my text. I want to
Jack,
talk
thanks you.
about your
Business.
realty, your business. So get a hold of
Throw
me.
that out there.
Yeah, we'll give you a little love on that too. So, anyway, enjoy the
One last thing.
Oh, geez,
You-
there's always one last thing.
You mentioned Jack or Nick being on the Night Watch. We have a ton of Night Watch listeners.
Yeah,
And I just want to give a shout out to the Night Watch our listeners,
True that.
to our policemen, and let everybody else know that it's not. These guys are out there in the wee hours of the morning, and they're trying to find something to do. And I'm glad sometimes they are. I'm glad we can keep them entertained. And hopefully,
hopefully they have a little
continues.
chuckle on their face while they're out there
and,
protecting us while we sleep.
Thank you for our Night Watch peeps.
Yeah, true that.
All right, enjoy our interviews.
Peace.
Peace. All right, Tommy, let's move on to Officer of the Show number 3.
Officer of the Show number 3. Absolutely.
Number 3.
Yep.
Out of the
Number 4.
blue corner of, this is number 4, producer John?
We had Jamie, and we had Shane. Then we had Jeff Sr.
It is number 4.
It's number 4. Producer John,
On the ball.
always on the ball.
Well, I'm here.
Out of
You
the
said
blue-
that with confidence.
I did. I bloviated it with confidence. Here we
I
go.
was like, sure.
Out of the blue corner, the North County Co-op, Officer Tony Mutra.
Sergeant.
Sergeant. That's the second time I've done that.
Lieutenant after this show.
Yeah, you won't leave here a sergeant.
Oh, I can't wait.
Congratulations on Officer of the Show.
Thanks. It's a huge honor.
Major Assistant Chief Ron Martin from North County Co-op recommended you. Trooper, otherwise known as Trooper.
Troop.
Your boss used to work for Producer John.
You work for him, huh?
Did you know that?
I do now.
Yeah.
I'm sure are we going to hear a story about Trooper later? You got any Trooper stories you want to tell?
The extra $7,000 a year you make as a sergeant, as opposed to being a patrolman, you earn in one day. I earned it like every day that I was with Trooper. But he's a very, very hard worker, very intelligent police officer. He's a good friend, but
The more you do, the more trouble you can get into.
Colonel Leshak told a good story about Trooper.
about the scoop.
Yeah, about the scoop. I'm here to get the scoop, Colonel.
Oh, was that the cigarette outside the hospital? You
Yes,
were smoking
exactly.
outside?
So
Yeah.
you listened to it?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Troop
I-
with the scoop.
I think I might have
Scoop.
said this story about Trooper already, though, but when he did a search warrant, and we had to do when I was in SWAT, and we did search warrants for him, he was always on point. His search warrants were organized, right to the point, and he did a great job. I don't think he ever had a bad search warrant. I'm sure he did, but not when we did them. And so he was always thankful, and he always appreciated us. And We always, when he was going to do a search warrant, where I was like, oh, cool, this will be a good one.
Yeah, I like working with him.
He's smart. He's a sharp detective.
A wealth of knowledge for sure.
He is.
So, Tony, how many years have you done in law enforcement?
23 years.
23 years. And then how many at the co-op? Have you been with the co-op?
4 years.
And then before that?
I was with Peevely down in Jefferson County
Peevely,
for
so
18
23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's a long time.
Thank you. That's good. That's
no gray
a
in
good
my hair
run.
yet, but I'm starting to show some sophistication in the facial hair. so-
Sophistication.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I like to call it.
Right.
I can't get used to the beards.
Yeah, that kind
It's
of
just new to
with
us.
officers. That
I'm
was
just-
not in our era.
No, I'm just doing it because we can.
Exactly.
I've always liked the
Oh, it's
stripe
out of
down the
control,
pants and the
the
shiny
city.
everything and
Yeah.
the baby face. But whenever it's just a thing, you got to do it just because you can now.
No,
Right?
I
Oh,
get it.
we get it. We get it.
You're not-
When we used to get transferred, a lot of people, me included, when you got transferred to narcotics or a specialized unit, that's the first thing you did, either goatee or beard.
Grow your hair
Right.
out.
The goatee
Yeah.
was famous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get transferred to homicide, it's mandatory you get one of those goofy hats.
One of those newspaper
Yeah,
boy
yeah,
hats.
yeah.
Hey, I got it. How long have you been a sergeant?
About 3 years.
Okay. As a sergeant, does it nothing make you more mad when an officer wrecks a car?
That's one of the most embarrassing things you can do in your career. And whenever they wreck a car, you just wonder where their head is placed on their body.
100%.
when they're driving. Yeah, we had a guy wreck a car one time, and I told him, I said, you need to get a glass stomach so you can see where you're going with your head up your ass. Yeah.
Never heard that one before.
That's good.
Well, I think JJ was leading us into, and again, guys, everybody that listens to our show, Tony, and you've listened to it, is we like to make fun of ourselves and laugh at ourselves because we do silly stuff out there, and silly stuff can happen.
Yeah, if only there was something that we could make fun of today, that would be great.
No, we got some. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We got you.
So, Tony, as part of the co-op, in this video we're about to see, went viral. Correct, Tony? Would you say that it went viral?
That's what my kids call it, viral.
Yes, and your kids were questioning your activity on this.
They were.
On this particular clip, but and again, this is it ends up it's a funny clip here, but there ends up to be a good story. So first, we'll watch the clip.
Watch this woman steal a police car.
Oh, okay, this is probably my favorite police video. So police
That
are
was
questioning
Tony's
this woman
partner.
here, whom we'll call Methica. So suddenly, in the middle of everything, Methica just runs away. And then she steals their
You
car.
just heard the car.
Oh, shit! Ain't she trying to take out?
That's Tony's car.
Hell
shit.
no.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit, she took it out. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! She doesn't get
that
very
you
far, but
chasing
then
the car,
Methica
Tony?
abandons
Yeah, I
the
don't know
car,
what I was
and
gonna do if I
then
caught it.
gravity
Yeah, exactly.
does its thing. Oh, damn! Now, there was no one in the car, so no one got hurt. But the cherry on top is when her neighbors just roast her.
Now your dumb ass finna go to jail.
Explain yourself.
I got to remember what I said in the IA investigation first. I'll be more than happy to tell you what happened. But yeah, my partner and I, we got a call for this young lady here on the street. She was on the house, a stranger's porch, knocking on the door, and they just thought it was odd and never seen her before, so they called the police. And we were talking to her for a while on the sidewalk there. Never thought this was going to happen. Otherwise, I would have locked my car or walked to the scene, one or the other. But talking to her, she took a couple steps back every once in a while, and then she would come back to us, and we knew there was something more on board than just her trying to cause issues at the.
Does she
in the
live close
neighborhood.
by there?
I was going to ask
And
that.
she was actually from I want to say like the Bell Fountain Neighbor area.
Mm-hmm.
So how she got here, she didn't know.
She took an ambulance. She drove a fire truck.
She stole a fire.
and then she drove an ambulance.
she was just hitting all the emergency cars that day. And,
Yeah.
I'm glad that ours was last. You saved
Yeah.
the best for last, so she did take one of ours. But you just talking to her, we never threatened her with jail. Never even mentioned going to the hospital. Never any kind of detention at the time. So we really don't know what initially sparked her to.
But when she ran, you were just going to let her run.
I mean,
not the fact that you were going to chase her down. Obviously, she needed help.
I mean, we knew. Like I said, my partner, he was a pretty healthy guy. Played semi-pro football for a while, so we knew that she could only get so far, and then we would be able to at least go down the street and get her. But we weren't going to try to chase her and add fuel to the fire because she wasn't in her right mind, and she was.
And you could tell
barefoot
that.
and-
That was clear.
She
Yeah.
wasn't on drugs,
There was something. Yeah, I don't think drugs at all. I think just
mental.
mental. I think drugs led up to the mental part of it.
Okay.
But at that time, I don't. not being a complete drug expert, but there could have been something.
But after
else,
this, you did some follow up with her,
we did
and you found out that she did serve in what service?
serve in the Army. She had 6 years under her belt.
Oh wow.
And then she had gotten out how early?
Within the year, I can't quote the date, but within the year of this
And then you
incident
found that
happening.
out, and she was honorably discharged, or was it a medical?
No issues that I can,
Okay.
from what we learned that day from her and her mom, it was clean cut and dry. She got out and came to
And then
this.
deteriorated her mind, and then but then you found out that she needed help. She was mentally.
On that scene. I mean, and it's funny to watch now that everything's closed and the statute of limitations of everything on my part is ran out. But it is sad to see with mental health anymore situations like this occur.
Yeah,
But
especially
you got
one of our veterans.
helped get the charges either dropped or
Well,
reduced.
we still had to follow through with charges. We couldn't just completely let her go. But I believe through Wesley Bell's office, there was a mental health diversion program that they put her on. And I think they took the course of being on house arrest, but she still had to do certain treatments because when we met back up with her, she was a completely different person.
Really?
So
Yeah,
you
she
met
took
her.
a complete
You've talked to her afterwards, huh?
Yeah, we did.
Did she remember doing this?
No. And I didn't try to press it too much. I just
When you talked to her the second time, did you lock your police car?
I locked my police car. I took the keys and I actually just threw them
Oh,
in the field.
nice. See, you live and learn.
Right.
You live
I
and
mean,
learn.
that's what I try to tell the chief. This is learning experience.
It's just a learning
But
experience.
I never say it will never happen again because I don't want to look like a liar when it does happen again. But we like to say we're going to try our hardest.
Now, did you get suspended? Did you lose days for this?
No. The chief was a rock star.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. They promoted me. This was the day before I became sergeant.
Hey!
No, not really.
I just threw
That
away
sounds
a
like
purse.
Danny's nephew.
Yeah, man, we might be related.
I only threw away a purse, dude. I got a year's probation.
Yeah.
You got a year's probation for that?
Yeah.
I thought just like
That's cruel.
6
No,
months.
I'm telling you, they were mad.
In the city, if you lose your radio, it's 5 days, isn't it, John?
5 days. Yes, I can verify that.
Yes, we know. And you didn't get anything for that. So
I should have gotten. But because the interesting part about that, this came right off the heels of a general order being put out by the chief of you have to lock your car and make sure it's turned off. And to add the fuel to that fire is this already got nailed once, not exactly. I'm not bragging about it. So if the chief's listening to this, I'm definitely not bragging.
But you had
about that.
reason though. You
But
had
we're telling the
your
story. This-
computer would shut down, and you have to reboot it each time.
Well, this wasn't the car that I typically drove. So the computer was shutting down, and so if I didn't leave the car running, the computer would die. It would take about 5 minutes to boot back up. And
Hey, you don't have to make excuses, us, bro.
does it sound
You
good?
got your car stolen.
I mean,
dude.
is it convincible? I mean, do you guys believe that story?
I mean, I believe you, but you got your car stolen.
Right.
Yeah. So the only other option was to have the magical unicorn in the back seat,
But-
continuously keep the computer running. But
Okay, I got you.
The other one is the feeling that after that, like you see the car, she runs up the street, she bangs into one tree. That car goes by you guys as you're trying to slide in, and it bangs into the other tree. And then you got her with you. You got this banged up car. I can only imagine the feeling at that point.
Yeah.
Right there. It's
Yeah,
just
it
like,
was-
where do I start?
I promise you that there's no way you can imagine that feeling.
You don't know who you're talking to.
That's true.
You don't know who you're talking
yeah,
to.
That's true.
Let me ask you,
But
how much fun did your other fellow officers get with this? Are they still having fun with this?
even just as early as yesterday, the paramedics that responded to one of our calls was still
chirping about
it's
it.
still real hot and fresh.
Or anybody new, they have to tell, oh, this is the, you ever see
you're
that
the
on
guy.
the thing? This is the
So
guy.
you say you're the guy. I'm a training officer for the department as well. So a few the past two guys right out of the academy, we tell the story and they stop and they look at me and they go, "That was you." So they show this video in some of the academies. As far as some of the mental health programs that they run through. So,
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's-
So 23 years in law enforcement. So we kind of do this from time to time. Can you tell us about any opportunity or something that you were able to do because and only because you were a police officer?
Yeah, I think one of the exciting parts was getting to go to the tour bus with Ted Nugent after the Jefferson County Fair.
You were on Ted Nugent's tour bus.
On Ted
and
Nugent's
he was
tour
on there
bus,
too?
and he was on
Motor
there too.
City Madman.
Super nice guy.
Sweaty Teddy.
Very law
Sweaty
enforcement
Teddy.
friendly.
Wow.
Sweaty Teddy.
Loves the police.
Yeah, he
Loves
does.
the man.
Yeah, he
And
does.
guns. He loves guns.
We were working secondary at the
he
fair, and we escorted him back to the bus. And his bus was actually in the Holiday Inn in the city of Festus,
Nice bus.
where he was staying at. That was a nice bus. Very nice bus.
Ted
You know what else-
Nugent. I know that makes
doesn't he have
producer John happy.
At the concert, did you watch the concert?
Yeah, we got to see the
Did
concert.
he shoot his bow and arrow and shoot something out like he does sometimes?
I couldn't even remember. That was a long time
Just
ago.
curious.
But
He's
yeah.
he's anti-drug.
Yes, he is.
How do you
I
feel
don't
about
agree
that?
with. I don't agree with all that. I like his stance on many things, but
Hey.
every once in a while,
I think he's
drugs are
talking
okay.
about hardcore drugs.
Yeah,
like
he is.
Right.
He's not
cocaine.
talking
Exactly.
about.
He's not a crusader or anything.
Right. Oh, the other thing that I learned before the show is that you are related to somebody that is very close to our show, and Randy Sassinger.
Oh wow!
And how are you related to Randy?
He's my father-in-law.
All right.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
And how long have you been married to his daughter?
Since 2011.
Okay.
Good thing you knew that answer.
Well, we got married. Our wedding date was actually October 15th, and we picked that because back then the one in custody code was 1015. So I said that way I'd never forget it. So I only had two. Now it wasn't a completely cheesy cop story. We didn't just pick that one
Can
day.
we cut
out
that
of the
story
entire
out?
Year. But we had 2 dates to pick from. That was one of them. I said, well, we just got to do this one. That way I'll never forget.
Yeah, well, heck
I like
yeah!
it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, they
Randy
were
Sassinger is your father-in-law. That's cool.
He is.
Kids?
Yes, we have kids.
How many
between
kids?
The two of us. 5 between the two of us.
Okay.
Hers, mine, and ours.
Okay,
Wow.
5. That keeps you
Okay.
busy.
like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, just like the Brady Bunch. We have our little entourage everywhere we go.
That's cool.
3 bunch minus 1.
Now,
What did Randy think about you getting your car stolen on duty?
He doesn't know yet.
Yeah, we didn't discuss it yet. There's some things we don't brag about at dinner, and this is one of them. This is one of the things we don't brag about.
Tony, if it makes you feel better, when your major was working for me, he's always out making arrests. Every night he made arrests, pretty much. And I was having dinner, and it was one of those nights we wanted to get off early, and I was going to have dinner, and then go out and turn my car and my radio in and go out and have a few beers. And Trooper's partner, Tom Favazza, calls and says, "Hey, Sarge, we got an arrest up here at Franklin and Grand. You might want to come up here." And I said, "What is it?" Because we got some drugs and that. So we take care of it, like you always do. And he says, "No, you need to get up here." So I go flying up there, and we're at the Church's Chicken, and there's I pull up, and then there's the police car sitting there, and then there's a van, an old beat up van that was like half in and half out of the fence there, and it was pointing up toward the sky because there was a hill behind it. Well, the guy that they locked up, they stopped him on the lot. They got him with drugs. They got him in the car. Well, Trooper went to go back the car into a parking spot. They were going to leave it there, and the car just went right through the fence. So I asked Tom. I said, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Well, Ron got in there, and he got in the car, and he rolled down the window. He lit up a cigarette. He had his arm sticking out the window. He puts it in reverse, looks behind him, and just drives through the fence." So the suspect in the back seat looks at Tom and goes, "Oh, it ain't got no brakes in it."
So the van was dangling on a thing, wasn't it?
It
on
was
a cliff?
It was just it was like the back wheels were on the hill and the front wheels were in the air, and it was just hanging there. So luckily, Troop didn't get hurt. And so then I just went up to the guy and said, "You let that officer get in your car and not tell him? First of all, how do you drive in St. Louis with no brakes?"
Slowly.
And
Easy.
so anyway, we told him we're going to lock him up for assaulting a police officer,
Endangering the life of a police
Exactly.
officer.
So, but that's a Trooper story. At least he didn't wreck a police car, though. He just wrecked the suspect's car. We never heard from.
It was almost a good story till that last part. But it is a good story.
But the good news is you get our cursory field promotion, Tony, for coming on the show. So I'll call Ron after the show and let him know that.
So you'll be a lieutenant?
Lieutenant Tony
Fantastic.
Moutre.
That sounds good.
And Trooper, when you're listening, it's true. He's a lieutenant now, and I want
Right.
you to address him as such, please. Don't dishonor the show. He's a lieutenant.
Yeah, you're the one that screwed up and sent him here, so we
Yeah.
promote everybody, so
Yeah.
he's been
Nice.
promoted.
Thank
And
you.
you
guys.
could,
And Dan, what do we give him for being the officer?
producer John's come up with Beth is going to step in and sponsor, right?
Yeah, Beffa's Restaurant, 2700 Olive at Beaumont, donated $25 gift certificate to give to the Officer of the Week. It's a great restaurant. I don't know if you've ever been there, Tony, but it's been there. They just had their 126th anniversary.
Jeez Louise.
It's a long time.
It's good food, and you can bring Trooper down there with you and celebrate the promotion, Lieutenant.
Fantastic. I'll save the gift certificate. He can buy that dinner, and then
Yeah,
I'm
good
gonna
luck.
take
Yeah.
the missus
That'll
out
work.
away from the kids for the night. Yeah, that's
That'll work.
You can use a gift certificate at the bar.
Yeah, and if he gives you any trouble, we'll get him on the show and we'll clean it up.
Thank you.
You'll be a captain if he keeps screwing around. Yeah.
All right, Tony, really appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks. I
so
appreciate the
thanks,
opportunity.
Thanks for
Congratulations.
coming in, Tony.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Appreciate.
guys.
Thanks for
Keep
all
up
the
the
work.
good work, Jeff.
Keep up the good work.
JJ, we have a good one on. Good one. It's going to be interesting.
I hope so.
We're going to learn a lot about methamphetamines today from retired Lieutenant Jason Grellner from Franklin County, retired.
It's good
Welcome.
follow-up. Good follow-up from last week.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Thanks for
Tommy?
coming on, great Jason.
Ah, glad to be here. It's a good time, and I really like what you guys are doing, so happy to be a part of it.
You're a regular listener.
I am. Listen to all the episodes and what you guys are doing about, what the great things out there that law enforcement's doing every day, and then revitalizing and bringing things back to the city of St. Louis. If the city goes, so goes the state. So got to have a strong St. Louis city and believe in that wholeheartedly.
Yep. Doing what we can do. Doing our little part.
We're just trying, making it, and that's what we want to do. And guys like you have an interesting story, and those are the kind of stories we want to get out there and memorialize. And one of the things that all of our listeners will remember is the meth craze. And Jason, before we get into that, when did you come on the police department, and did you go right to Franklin County?
No, I started in 91, came on to the Union Police Department, small police department, Union, Missouri. Came on back in the day when you did not have to go to the academy before you started. You had 6 months
Wow.
before you had to go to the academy. So walked on, spent my first week in the office learning this, that, and the other thing. Next thing you know, I've got a Beretta and an 870, and I'm riding around in a squad car. I can remember the first night I go out on patrol. I'm in the squad car with the training officer, great guy, and we run into another Union car that's running lights and sirens. We spin around and get behind it, and the driver of the car, I kid you not, he's got his left arm out the driver's window. He's got a possum by the tail, and he's shaking it.
All right.
Welcome to Union.
Yeah. We get down to the Highway 50 bridge over the Burbus River, and he spins it, throws it over the top of the squad car right into the river. And I said, "What in the world was that?" And he goes, "Well, we give traps out to the city residents to catch stray cats, and they catch everything under the sun, and we got to get rid of them." And I thought, this is not what I signed up for. So I spent 3 years at Union. Great police department, great people. Chief Fowler was a great chief. Norman Bruni was a great teacher there. And then Franklin County started hiring. They had the grant from the cops grant, and moved over to the county, allowed me to move up in Franklin County, the St. Louis County line, made things easier on my wife, who was actually making the money at that time. Plus it gave me second largest county in the state to patrolled for about a year, moved over to the Bureau. And then about 1996, started working narcotics and never left. Worked narcotics from 96 to 2018 when I left.
And again, narcotics entails a lot of stuff, but what Jason, he was on the front lines of the war on meth. And being from that rural area, that's where this thing took off. And when you came on, if I'm not mistaken, when we talked, meth was not even in our vocabulary,
No.
And then you took down your first meth lab. When did you take down your first meth lab?
It was December 12th, 1997. We did our first meth lab in a house in rural Robertsville, Franklin County, Missouri. Really didn't know what the hell we were doing. Didn't even know, to tell you the truth, what we were seeing. Had to call people like Joe and others from DEA. I had a background in chemistry, so went to college to be a chemical engineer. Broke my parents' heart, came out and went and became a cop. But I knew from the chemistry that was there, and from what I knew, that there was something not right, that these guys weren't smart enough to have this shit and didn't know what they were doing.
Was it a pretty decent looking operation?
No,
The first
no,
one.
these things. Look, these guys couldn't count their fingers twice and come up with the same number. Some of them would have struggled to count their balls twice and come up with the same number.
But when you see this layout, what's it look like, that layout?
You know, there's glassware and shit that they shouldn't have. There's there's common chemicals that you would see, at a grocery store or a Home Depot or something like that, but there's large quantities of it. And it's just, batteries. That was the big thing back then. The only way you could get lithium metal was from lithium batteries. So you got all of these AA lithium batteries have been cut in half. And, parts are missing from them. Parts are laying all over the place. And it stinks to high hell. Either it smells like chlorine or anhydrous ammonia, which is just an obnoxious ammonia odor. Or some sort of a camp fuel or something like that, and there's buckets of crap everywhere because they don't know what to do with it.
They're talking about disposing the stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you're making pounds and pounds of crap on top of the small amount of methamphetamine that you're making, and they were smart enough to know then that if they started dumping that stuff, oh my God, we're going to get caught. So right there to collect it in jugs and barrels and buckets and. It's just laying around, just stinking. And then, I think I told you tonight, there's people who are pouring it in their kids' sandboxes out back because it would go away really fast, or they're pouring it in the pea gravel into their kids' swimming sweats.
In the woods,
throwing it into lakes and ponds and rivers and streams. It was everywhere by the time we were done.
Well, I want to. We have a picture. I'm probably going to show up, but they're always. I've been in meth labs, and they're nasty, and they're just the scum of the earth to me. But it's always amazing because there's so much chemistry. But then they had cooks that's like these cooks were like very important to them, and I don't know where are they getting these cooks from that knew how to do this.
Yeah, so the first ones came out of San Diego, quite frankly. We could trace pretty much everything, even in Kansas City, back to San Diego. So a couple of guys came out of San Diego. Some of them were ex-military, came back, and they had the knowledge. They had the recipe. I always explained it like this. Making meth was a lot like making chocolate chip cookies, right? And the chocolate chip in the chocolate chip cookie was pseudoephedrine to methamphetamine, right? If you didn't have pseudoephedrine, you could make a hell of a cookie, but it wasn't going to be methamphetamine. So it was just a recipe. It was easy, replicatable, and all of the chemicals that you needed were easy to get a hold of. And you know how it is with crime, right? The bad guys always know 5 years before we figure it out what they're doing, whether it's crack or heroin or fentanyl or carfentanil or any of the 2C combinations or methamphetamine. And so by the time I find my first lab, December 1997, they've probably been cooking for 2 years.
Okay.
So tell us the ingredients, just off.
Well, pseudoephedrine, I mean, like I said, it's like baking a chocolate chip cookie, right? You got to have the dough, you got to have the flour, the milk, grandma's secret ingredient, the sugar, the brown sugar, and the chocolate chips, right? And the butter. Here you have to have pseudoephedrine. And so that was the big thing to us, right? Pseudoephedrine is one oxygen atom different than methamphetamine. And pseudoephedrine hydrochloride, which is the water-soluble salt, is just like the water-soluble salt methamphetamine hydrochloride. The great thing about pseudoephedrine is it's not only one oxygen atom different, it makes D-methamphetamine. So there's two types of methamphetamine. There's D and L, dextro and levomethamphetamine. Levomethamphetamine, we can go out and buy right now. You buy a Vicks inhaler, right, this time of the year, and you're going to get levomethamphetamine. It's a bronchial dilator. It dries out your sinuses. It takes away redness and swelling and those sorts of things, but it doesn't get you high. It doesn't release dopamine in the brain, which is what dextromethamphetamine does. And so dextromethamphetamine, D-methamphetamine, releases more dopamine in your brain than any other chemical we know about on the planet. Cocaine, crack cocaine, you name it, any other stimulant you can name, nothing releases the amount of dopamine in your brain that methamphetamine does.
Wow.
I went to a state highway patrol, and we had a course on it for a week, or maybe it was a long weekend, but we ended up going.
It was 2 weeks.
Drank like it was.
It was 2 weeks, and you only paid attention
it was
for
one of the most boring classes, to be honest, I've ever taken. And
I probably taught there, but thank you.
No. But then it was, the interest. One of the things that caught me, all the chemistry and the periodic table, that was just like lost. And so we had to take a test. It was tough, but the guy said he had a little cup of Kool-Aid, and he had a picture of Kool-Aid. And he said he picked up the little cup, and he says, when you have an orgasm, and he dumped it into a bigger cup. That's the endorphins you get from from an orgasm. And then he picked up the picture filled up a whole pitcher of Kool-Aid. And he says, when you do methamphetamine, and he dumped it into the big pot. He goes, that's the endorphins you get for that. I'm like, holy crap. No wonder everybody's stuck on meth.
Yeah,
Right.
well, exactly. I mean, it's 100 times more.
We're gonna
Then
get
the
people
release.
listening and be like,
I know.
I'm gonna try some meth.
I'm confused where
Hey,
we're
not
going
only
with
that,
this.
but-
Say what?
We gotta give this a
Clean
shot.
your whole house in 5 minutes too.
That's
Click
a hell
on the
of an
link
orgasm
below
they're talking about.
on the podcast for the recipe for grandma's meth recipe. Yeah.
JJ had to throw the orgasm thing in there. Now everybody's going,
Yeah,
That's
give
what
this
the
a
guy
shot.
said. I mean, we're being honest. We're not
Oh, it's
PG.
100% right. And the problem is when you release that much dopamine in your brain, right? So you've got receptors and reuptake receptors, right? So if you release dopamine, you have to have a reuptake receptor that takes that in and that gives you that feeling, right? There's so much dopamine released that it breaks the reuptake receptors. So, you hear about all the time chasing the high, right?
Yeah.
Wanting to get back to the original high. You never can.
Because it's broke.
You broke it, right? So maybe you can pick up 95% on the second try that you did on the first try, but that's it. You broke your brain. And the problem is, the tolerance level would go up rapidly. Where people would take a 1/4 gram of methamphetamine and maybe share it among 4 people. I had people that were taking an 8-ball at a time, right? And they're taking 1/8 of an ounce just to get high when they started doing this is your brain on drugs and all that, and they started looking at methamphetamine people as opposed to crack and cocaine, they were like, holy crap, parts of your brain are missing. You're literally going to have to learn to rethink around the holes in your brain.
From the meth.
My
Yes, incredible.
experience, I feel like a recovered heroin addict can be completely normal.
Yeah.
But I think a meth recover is never the same.
No,
They're
have
just never
tics,
right.
They have muscle
Yeah.
movement. They have Parkinson-like effects.
It appears to affect their everything about their appearance much quicker than any other drug
because
does.
it kills the smallest nerve endings, and so the teeth would go quickly, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have a lot of teeth rot, a lot of open sores. Again, because of the dying of the smallest nerve endings, they would feel like like psoriasis. They were constantly scratching at themselves, picking at themselves.
Ugh.
Yeah, the open
bugs.
sores.
They said they had bugs.
I was telling Jason when we were talking, I said I equivalated, and I did a lot of work, the majority of my career in narcotic, chasing people for narcotics. I hated meth because it was so disgusting. It was equivalent to me as like when we were when I was in the 3rd district as the street whores. They were just disgusting to deal with.
Yeah.
You just wanted to stay away from them. You didn't want nothing. They gave you the heebie-jeebies.
Oh yeah.
And I can remember helping you a couple times. And when I say I didn't help, Jason would get these investigations, and he did several of them. And we'd hit like 27 houses in Franklin County, Jefferson County, and each one would get, and I would go up there and get a house or two.
We get a team and 3 or 4.
And then we go
med guys
kick in
go
all
get-
these doors in Utah, and I would get the heebie-jeebies before, and they didn't disappoint.
Oh,
Now
yeah,
the
we-
withdrawal from when a
Oh,
meth
yeah.
addict reaches
kill
the
you.
high and then comes back down,
It'll
it
kill you.
Makes them sick as hell, right?
Yeah, we say, heroin addict, right? When they get sick, right, getting on sick, they're sick. They feel horrible, skin's crawling. They've got like the flu and pneumonia and everything, and the bones are breaking and everything else. Heroin withdrawal will make you wish you were dead, but it won't kill you.
Right.
Same for cocaine, crack, everything else. Methamphetamine withdrawal will kill you, right? So the other thing about methamphetamine is it speeds up your heart. So sitting still on methamphetamine, your heart's beating about 220, right?
Yeah.
So, we want to get a good workout in. Well, not me exactly, but some people like to do this workout thing. By the way, if I'm ever found dead in a gym, it's a dumb job.
Yeah, somebody dropped you.
Yeah,
there.
I'm fucking track or a gym.
He's
There's
trying
a-
to get back in shape. Must have had a heart attack.
There's a secondary death location somewhere, and it's not there. But
I got a question for you. I'm sorry.
yeah,
When you were the very beginning of this.
yeah.
So when you just like Tommy was saying, you did search warrants. You didn't take the precautions that
Oh,
you
hell
knew you
no.
had to eventually. So it got to the point where, man, we knew it was a meth lab, you had to have a team ready to go in there with hazmat suits,
Oh, yeah.
and it got to be
I
such
was
a pain in the
technician
ass.
level, and then I was site safety officer. So I had the highest level training they would give a law enforcement officer. Thank God I wasn't a firefighter. I wasn't born with that gene to sit on my ass and watch TV. But
Oh, ouch.
Oh, here we go. Zinger.
Brighter side of blue loves firemen.
I tell you what, those canaries have saved me many times. So I do. My brother-in-law is a captain with St. Louis City Fire. So,
All right.
but I love
You're
giving them
saved.
garbage.
Good
So, but yeah, we didn't have anything. We went in. We didn't know what we were going into. We had no training. We had no training in safety.
You had no knowledge of the drug at the time.
We had
when
no
you said
knowledge of what the chemicals would do.
Right.
Right. You read them now, and you're like, you leave the back of a can of carburetor cleaner or brake cleaner. It's like, use in a well ventilated area. Do not inhale. All of those different things. Now chlorine gas and anhydrous ammonia. Anhydrous ammonia has you can detect it at 3 parts per million. It has an action level at like 15 parts per million. It'll kill you at like 90 parts per million. I mean, it's just off the charts. And that's what got me. It was
that's what got JJ bored in that class.
Oh, man.
all those parts,
parts
all
per
those
million.
parts
Hey,
per
the only thing I
million.
remembered is the Kool-Aid thing. demonstration.
Yeah. We're talking about an orgasm.
he won't drink Kool-Aid to this day without, woo, hello.
I'm glad we moved on past the orgasm talk and
I'm
let
just
people know
saying.
that this
That's what I
stuff's
learned in my
bad.
class, all right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
But
there was a happy ending somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
But in Missouri,
Well-
we got recognized as like the meth capital of the world. And then you were in the heart of that whole battle.
I have the most meth labs that I either cleaned up personally or supervised the cleanup of in the United States. I had 1,261 labs under my belt by the time I quit doing labs, or my team quit doing labs.
But we didn't produce the most
No, that was California. California by far was producing the largest labs
because
So-
they had large like factories damn near.
Yeah,
producing meth.
they close to the border, like TJ,
Right.
San Diego, San Ysidro. Chemicals could come across in bulk, could come across in liquid form, and then finalized stages here in the United States for quick disbursement across the United States. That was going on up until about 2008, 2009. And then, I told you there's 2 types of meth, right? So the old way of manufacturing meth, we're talking about the 50s and the 60s, early 70s, was P2P, phenyl-2-propanone. And the problem with the phenyl-2-propanone method is, first off, most of the chemicals are outlawed, banned in the United States, but of course you can get them in third world countries. And the other problem is it makes D and L meth together, right? They're mixed together in the powder. You can't tell one from the other. And it's about 49% D, 51% L, so it's only 50% as potent as what we're making in the United
Yeah,
States.
they'll sort that out quick.
So that's what they did, right? So they're like, shit, all of these gringos are making a ton of money and they're not buying our meth. So we're going to have to figure that out. So first thing they did was they got in bed with the Chinese and they started bringing pseudoephedrine in through Central America up into Mexico, and they started making it. But quickly we got onto the Chinese government through the DEA and said, hey, you guys can't be shipping all that pseudoephedrine raw down to Central America. You know what's going on. So that kind of slows things up between Chinese organized crime and the Mexican drug cartels. So the cartels go back. And by this time, right, Project Colombia, Project Nicaragua in full swing. So the cocaine, the amount of cocaine coming out of those Central American countries is way down, but the chemists have nothing to do, right? The chemists who were purifying cocaine, crack, heroin, and all of that, they're like, well, what are we going to do today? We got nothing going on.
Yeah.
So they bring them up to Mexico. And they're like, look, we got this meth. It's D and it's L. We want only the D. So the first thing the chemists figure out for the cartels is let's separate it, right? Let's separate the D from the L. They figure that out using some acid, and they get it separated. So now they've got D, straight D meth they can sell in the United States. Perfect, great. Problem is it's only 50% of their product. So they go back to the chemist and they say, is there a way to flip the isomer? So if this is L methamphetamine and this is D methamphetamine, we just need to do that, right? We're going to flip the isomer from L to D. The chemists go, yeah, let's think on it for a while. They come back and go, we got that shit figured out. So they go, yeah, we can flip your isomer. It's an added step. We're going to go from levo to dextro, and now you've got full dextro methamphetamine, 100%. Ship in the United States as fast as you can. Those guys love it. But by this time, because you got to go back to 1997, doctors in this country are handing out opioids like Skittles, right? And again, we're in law enforcement. We're behind the curve. And so we're just figuring out methamphetamine. And in 1997, between 1997 and 2006, the amount of opioids in this country that are being distributed goes up 600%. So does the death rate by overdose of opioids.
Right.
But we don't put it together by 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2006, again, shrewd businessmen that the Mexican drug cartels are, they go, yeah, we can slow up a little bit on this methamphetamine. It looks like they want opioids. We know how to get heroin. We know we'll
Right.
just plant hectare after hectare after hectare of.
No, them cartels are
opium.
pretty smart, dude.
Right.
We learned that last week, and,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they're stuff popping up, and they know exactly what the American people love, and they know it, and they're going to bring it in as
Yeah.
much and as much they can.
What cooking
Now-
method did they use in Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad was they used a lot of red pea, so he was a red phosphorus cook. So again, straight pseudoephedrine to methamphetamine, but there's two ways to strip off, if you will, that oxygen molecule. Red phosphorus was a little tougher method. You had to have a few more brain cells snapping. You did have to be able to count your fingers. And a lot of times we had a lot of explosions and fires. Don't get me wrong, we had them from both sides. But red phosphorus, if you overcook it, it'll turn to white or yellow phosphorus during the cooking process. And that shit will just explode if it's, comes in contact with common everyday air.
Mm-hmm.
So they were on a top. They were using top notch technology.
Yeah, well,
in that
they
one.
had to, they had three
Breaking
ring,
Bad.
three neck flasks, and but I can remember we hit one in Jefferson County, and we hit the door, and this guy's on the couch with his old lady at the time, and they're going at it like two rabbits.
Making meth or
Making
having
Kool-Aid.
sex.
Making Kool-Aid.
Well, they're making the Kool-Aid, but
Making
over on
the
the
Kool-Aid.
stove, over on the stove, they're making meth, and this thing's boiling over, and the white phosphorus. I'm just like, we were seconds away from an explosion that was going to level the place. So
Oh,
we're
good
grabbing
God.
naked jerks and
I-
out of the room.
You always
Yes,
hear
I
about
gotta-
all the
I gotta ask you,
blow ups.
Getting them out.
Last week we
Meth labs
we
blow.
learned about we talked to Jack Riley and Joe Cronin. They were awesome. But towards
incredible
what was
guys.
the end of your career? When did you finally? I know they said earlier. When did you retire?
I retired in 18 completely. I probably stopped working dope in 16.
But what was the back in the heyday? It was just meth labs.
Yeah.
And now we don't seem like we see them at all.
No.
And so at the end in 18, did you see many meth labs anymore? When did it stop dying?
It's just guys coming out of prison, and that's all they knew how to do. And so they, you'd get a hot spot here or there of a guy coming out of prison and remembering how to do it. We had put such tight restraints on pseudoephedrine. I won I won an international award for my work here in the state of Missouri. We had 76 communities that wouldn't sell pseudoephedrine without a prescription.
Yep, you're the guy. He's the guy to blame.
Anybody
that needed three.
anybody that needed
anybody
Sudafed.
needed three.
I got the
and
sniffles. I
Yep.
can't get
I
that.
can't get
Yeah.
my Sudafed. That
Yeah.
was
So
me.
is it still the same way now that most of the meth is coming across our border?
Yeah. Yeah, they figured out how to do it. They figured out how to do it in larger quantities and faster, right?
Mhm.
And they've got the distribution network.
Right.
I told Tommy the other day, the thing about meth was it was the first drug that was opposite of anything we'd seen in the United States, right? If you lived in a rural area and you needed dope, you had to go to an urban area, right? You went to downtown St. Louis, downtown Detroit, downtown New Orleans, downtown Chicago. You went somewhere in an urban area and you picked up your crack or your cocaine or
Marijuana,
or whatever it was, right?
pot in a box over
Yeah.
in East St. Louis.
There you go. But methamphetamine was the first drug that was completely opposite, right? I remember teaching St. Louis City at the academy. I taught methamphetamine lab class there, 3 or 4 times, the old city academy. And I might get one or two guys that would find, you teach a cop something, they're going to go do it, right? Teach them how to use a speed gun, 8, they're going to go write speeding tickets. You teach them how to find a meth lab, and they're like, oh, that's that fat white guy told me about. Oh, yeah, that's methamphetamine.
Smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I would get a couple that would pop in the city, and I always came down and cleaned those up. I always came down to the city. Love working with the city guys. Come down. I remember we did one with a WashU student one time, big lab, and he was doing all sorts of crazy stuff because he had a chemistry background. But loved, I would work 2, 3, 4 in a day.
Jeez
And that's how I ended up getting hurt. We were about 27 hours in, 3rd meth lab. We had to wait on a search warrant forever on our 2nd lab. And so we were stuck, sleeping in our trucks, waiting for the search warrant to get there. We had the lab. We just couldn't do everything we wanted to do without the search warrant. So we get the search warrant, did that one, and a call comes in for a 3rd one. And I'm like, guys, we got to, suck it up. Let's go. Get in the trucks. Here we go. So we rolled and we got there, and no warrant, just odor complaint from the neighbor. And as I'm walking up on the driveway, there's a truck box from the back of a pickup truck, and I can smell battery hulls. When you break open a AA lithium battery, there's an acid smell. I can't describe it to you. There's an acid smell that comes from opening up a AA battery, and I could smell that. And there was a Coleman cooler 2-quart with a flip up.
Yep.
That's a big sign.
And I thought, well, I'm going to open that up. Plain view. It's right here on the driveway, in walking distance to the front door. I'm going to open that up. It's going to be full of battery holes. That'll give me the reason to write the search warrant. We'll be done with this quick. So I spin the top off, and I was wrong. The battery holes were in a bag next to it. Later, we would find out what was in the cooler was anhydrous ammonia.
Oh.
So anhydrous ammonia is a liquefied gas with a boiling point of negative 26 degrees Fahrenheit. So it boils at negative 26 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's boiling inside this thing. And so when I take just like anything else, it steams, right? It's caustic. It's got pH of 14. So I get a big whiff in my face. Anhydrous means without water or seeking water. My eyes, my nose, my sinuses, my mouth, everything's burning. I turn away, and immediately my nose starts bleeding. And all my guys are laughing their ass off, right? Because I'm stumbling around. I can't drop the thing. And my nose is bleeding, and I'm cussing. So I get the top screwed back on it, and I'm like, go get the warrant. Fuck it. And so I get over, and I get my nose to stop bleeding and wipe my eyes out, and we worked all of that. So I guess it was about 10:30 that morning. So I've been up. I got to work at 7 the morning before. It's 10:30. I'm home now. Told my wife I'm going to bed. I'm done.
So wait, you never got the endorphin effect on that?
No. So I wake up. It's about 4:30 in the evening. She wakes me up and she goes, "Hey, I'm making dinner. You want some dinner?" And I can't talk. And it feels like I've been chewing raw glass. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I go in the bathroom and I find some chloroseptic, and I give a couple of squirts and a Secret. I said, I'm going back to sleep. I wake up the next morning, and I'm just screwed up. And so go to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you've got 2nd and 3rd degree burns to the top of your mouth, your sinuses, the back of your throat. I'm gargling with lidocaine for the next week. And things progressively get better, Your body regenerates, and so, new skin. And so about a week later, we got a call for another meth lab. Now I'm back to full duty, and go to the lab, and I put my mask on, and I can't breathe, physically breathe through my mask. And I'm like, so I change out the cartridges, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. I could do that before. So workers' comp says, hey, it's time for you to go see a pulmonologist. Go see a pulmonologist. They do pulmonary tests. And so, probably not from exactly that one time, but from
over the years.
From 1,261 of them?
Yeah.
Right.
So 27% loss in my lung capacity. So I burned up about
it burnt
27.
your lungs.
Yeah.
So that war on meth took a toll on you.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I know how passionate you were about that. I watched you in action. You testified in front of both state Congress and federal Congress with the prescription, or with this Sudafed, correct?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then one of the things you did that I'm not down with is that you argued against the legalization of cannabis. Did you know that, Danny?
I'm done with this interview.
Sure.
No, but Jason was very passionate about that, and it's kind of ironic that what he was very passionate about was the thing that ended up taking him out of law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's just awesome. But
So you were forced to. Are you retired because of it?
I couldn't work labs anymore. So a lot of what I did, I categorize evidence for the guys. I felt bad that I couldn't. Before that, if there was a question, I was that guy, right? And I testified in federal courts all over the United States. I was the expert witness for the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Shmi, John. He was the Shmi subject
matter expert.
Yes.
Yes. And I did that for every incoming, during that time, every incoming and sitting grand jury. So when the new grand jury got sat, I would come in and they would let me explain to them how to make meth. I'd teach them how to make meth. I'd bring in my bucket of meth materials, and I'd sit down and spend an hour or two with them, so that when officers came in, whether it was somebody who was trained or was a road officer who just happened to find one, that they knew what they were looking at and what they were hearing from the officers.
Tell us a little bit about, as the labs, after a while, the Sudafed, you guys kind of slowed down the labs as it went on, but these guys got a little ingenious and they came up with what was called the one pot method.
Yeah.
Explain.
They got dumber. They got dumber and dumber as they went
Explain the
along.
one pot method and how these people would do it.
So, the basic way, that what we called the Nazi way, because it was developed by the Nazi Germans during World War II, the Nazi way of making methamphetamine was to use anhydrous ammonia.
They steal that from farms, right?
Right.
Those big
They
tanks
did.
on farms.
Yeah, I used to sit out on those tanks at night.
Yeah.
You don't get to do that in St. Louis City or St. Louis County, but in rural communities, you could go sit at tank farms and wait for idiots to show up.
Okay.
I remember this kid shows up. He's got a Coleman cooler, right? Just a 54-quart Coleman cooler. Shows up to the tank, and you got to figure out which knobs and dials to spin right, and you got to cut the hose because it's got to, until you put it to the actuator in the ground, it's not going to dispense any liquid. So he cuts the hose, and he's monkeying around, and finally he starts filling, and all of a sudden you just see him go thunk.
Just collapse?
Yeah, it just collapses. So we suit up and run over and turn the valves off. And
Were you in a hurry?
not a big hurry. So we get over there and we call the ambulance and we get him some oxygen. We get him cleaned up, and he goes, "Just happens sometimes. I'll twist that valve and I'll just plumb pass out. When I come to, the cooler's usually full. So close the top and climb in the car."
No, when you sat on these tanks, was that secondary work or is that overtime?
No, that was it. That was the way to find a lab,
Oh.
right? You didn't have anhydrous, you didn't have a lab, right? So you could either do what St. Louis County did. Great guys, some of the best people I know. St. Louis County Pill Diversion Task Force worked with St. Louis City, and they would watch the stores for us, right? And there was a regular route down Manchester through the city and back out Page, I think, and they would watch all of the Walgreens.
What you're referring to is they would watch these people go in and buy two at a time.
Yeah.
At numerous different places.
Carloads of 4 and
and
6.
go
Yeah.
around and round and
Yeah,
That
round.
was pretty common.
Yeah.
Sergeant Tom Early from St. Louis County, who later came and worked at Franklin County with us. Great guy. Tom and his team won tons of awards throughout the nation for doing just that, watching people shop.
Mhm.
They'd come out, they'd strip the box, throw the box and the receipt away immediately, and put the popper packs in there.
The Sudafed.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to my one pot method. I just want to know.
Yeah, so the one pot method
The theory is that you've driven past somebody making meth
Yeah.
in Missouri.
in their car.
In their
Shake
car.
and bake? They call them shake
Shake
and
and
bake?
bake, one pot. Yeah, because
Okay.
what they were doing though is they were actually making anhydrous ammonia in the same pod that they had the pseudoephedrine and they had the lithium. And the problem with it is, to make anhydrous ammonia, you need water. And the real problem with that is lithium is a water reactive metal. When you add water to lithium, it forms hydrogen gas, heat, and fire, right? So in a bottle, you're mixing
Like a water bottle, correct?
Oh yeah,
Or
Gatorade bottles were the number one.
Gatorade,
Let me
okay.
tell you, Mountain Dew is the choice of all methamphetamine dopers today. All right, they just do it.
I thought it was Kool-Aid.
No. That's just Kool-Aid is for your Twilight.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, Mountain Dew, and so you'd have a Mountain Dew bottle or a Gatorade bottle because the Gatorade bottles have a thicker wall on them.
Yeah.
And they put the chemicals in there. They put one packet of pills in there, shake it up and set it. And every once in a while you had to burp the bottle because there's pressure building up in there. But all it would take is for one piece of that lithium metal to get stuck somewhere and some water to come up against it. Next thing you know, now you got hydrogen being generated, which is highly flammable gas, right? And then if one of those pieces of lithium sparked in that bottle and there was the right mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, you just got a really big explosion.
Did any of
You
them
made
blow
a
up?
bomb.
Did
Yeah,
any of them blow up as they were doing it?
Oh, hell yeah, all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Or they'd catch fire and just, so we were doing it. We were emulating them for some videos that we were doing. And we burned 2 tables down trying to do it. We couldn't do it
Dude.
without causing a fire. The other one was back to anhydrous ammonia was, they would put it in pressure tanks, they put it in coolers, they'd put it in jars, buckets, you name it. And I can't tell you the number of times that they would put it into a pressurized container, like a fire extinguisher, a CO2 container, an oxygen tank that wasn't made to hold it. This thing grows, I used to know this, right? I think above 70 degrees, every degree above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, it increases the pressure by 100 PSI, right? So you can quickly expand the pressure inside the tank just by heating it up. So we get a call one day to a fire at a guy's house. His car's on fire in his driveway. We get there, his car's not on fire. The anhydrous tank in the back of his Blazer, the valve is gone. It's just putting out white smoke everywhere. So they said, well, somebody's going to have to suit up and get in there. And I said, well, might as well be me. What the hell? So I put on my Dumbo suit, put on my oxygen tank and my mask, and I'm getting all taped up. It's July. It's like, I swear to God, it's like 102 that day.
Yeah.
And right here where the zipper stops and the mask comes in, the hood comes in, there's a spot. And if you don't cover it with tape a couple of times, because you're an old fat guy and it moves around, it'll open up. So there's a local fire department. They're great guys, even if they are hose draggers, basement savers. And I said, listen, I said, you got nothing to worry about. I said, unless I start running. I said, if I start running, your job is to try and keep up. And I was just tongue in cheek like I am. So I climb in the back. And so they had like 6 tanks that they'd filled with anhydrous ammonia. And one of them was already leaking. And I could see that. So I started busting the windows out from the inside. And just as I moved a CO2 tank, the nozzle shot off and went through the dashboard. So I'm holding it between my legs. I'm in the back of this Blazer. And I'm holding on to it. And it's pushing at me, right? Because it's like a rocket now. The whole car goes white. I can't see my hand in front of my face. Everything's white. And all of a sudden, I feel a burning sensation. Anhydrous ammonia without water. So it's seeking water. So it's seeking the sweat that's running down my neck. And as it connects with that sweat, it's starting to go south towards my Kool-Aid region. Right? So,
Ruh-roh.
yeah. I can't let go of the tank because it's going to come shooting between my legs. But I've also got hot lava running in that same direction.
Right.
So finally, the pressure lets up enough. I can twist the tank. It goes shooting out the side of the Blazer. I jump out, and now I'm just running.
Did the bee dance?
Yeah.
Like bees were chasing you?
Yeah, exactly. But, like a little kid that fell off his bike. I'm just running because I'm running. And meanwhile, the firefighters are spraying water on me, and I outrun them. The next thing you know, I've got 6 firefighters chasing me, and they've let go of their hoses. And they're just out in the front lawn doing this. And the firefighters are chasing me, and I stop, and I turn around, and I rip my mask off, and I'm ripping the suit off. And I said, what are you guys doing? And he said, hey, you said if you started running, just keep up, brother. We're just trying to keep up.
They thought something was about to blow. Something about to blow. We've seen this before.
Wow.
Any scars on the lower region?
Seeking
from
No,
water?
no,
Right.
everything's still there and as small as it used to be.
27%. Oh my God.
I mean, in the meth now, I mean, you don't hear about nothing, but that's because
There's no
I
pure
think
meth
we
left.
mentioned it. Well, the Mexicans took it over and they ran everybody out of business.
Yeah.
And they just run it across the border when they need it.
Well, we have,
And they find
What's
the
the
people
most
that need it.
popular right now out there? The
fentanyl craze is killing more people than anything we've ever seen before. And it's not just fentanyl. We use fentanyl, and it's really a bunch of drugs, a bunch of fentanyl drugs, right? There's fentanyl, there's carfentanil, there's acetafentanil, there's a bunch of different fentanyl derivatives out there, right? And the problem with fentanyl is pure fentanyl, what we see doctors using and what physicians understand is only about 50 times more potent in morphine equivalent. So everything in the opioid world is measured against morphine as an opioid. So morphine's the baseline, and you're either stronger or you're weaker than morphine, right? So whether you're oxy or hydro or whatever you are, you're measured against morphine. Well, fentanyl is about 50 times stronger in morphine equivalents. which is why we can take it dermally. You know, we'll see morphine or we'll see fentanyl patches put on people, slow release dermally through the skin. You'll see them a lot of times, people with chronic pain issues and stuff like that. Even fentanyl lollipops for people with high pain tolerance. Well, then we started seeing acrofentanyl and acetylfentanyl and 4-acetylfentanyl, 5-acetylfentanyl. Like, where's all of this shit coming from? And then we saw the big daddy, carfentanyl. 1,000 times stronger in morphine equivalents.
That's what's dropping people.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Dead.
literally something the size of a grain of salt drop an elephant, right? Carfentanyl is
Elephant.
Yeah, and you know,
Elephant.
again, you got people.
You're
on
not
the
pulling a
streets.
Tommy Sawyer on us right now, are you? Because Tommy Sawyer just bloviates shit like that, and then we just continue to nod our heads. Now you're saying the
That
size
even took
of
me
a,
by. That even took like, elephant, huh?
the and nobody was going to challenge it, but I'm going to challenge it. The size of a piece of salt can drop an elephant. Who
Yeah.
tested that?
Well, they used to.
Was
use
there
it-
an elephant out there that
They
said, "Here,
actually-
put it out there, take this," and
They
the
actually
elephant
used
dropped?
to use
Good
it
point.
on elephants to anesthetize them when they want to do medical projects on
Until
them.
they
And
put that
were,
one drop in that one elephant.
and they were killing too
Gone.
many elephants.
We need to stop this. We need
All
to
right,
stop
all
this.
right,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. It has no human known usefulness at all.
Carfentanyl.
There's no dosage small.
And where are
enough.
you seeing it at? Where's it coming?
It's coming out of China. Look, you know, I testified before Congress a year ago, April, and we were talking about money laundering and how easy it is now because the U.S. dollar turns into yen, and then yen is transferred back into pesos. That there's no need anymore for that money to transfer across the border going south. Right? It used to be the peso transfer, and we were trying. You know, under Catherine Tandy, when she was director of the DEA, we had a huge push to stop a couple $2 billion a year from going south across the border. You know, again, teach cops to do something, he's going to do it. We did a great job on that. You don't have to do that anymore, right? There's enough Chinese nationals living in the United States who are willing to transfer the dollar into yen that what used to be 40 cents on the dollar is now 80 cents on the dollar.
Oh wow.
And so, you know, I was asked, well, you know, why are the Chinese doing this? I said, are you kidding me? We're losing 300,000 people a year. 300,000 people a year are dying. And they're all between the ages of 17 and 34, the exact age of fighting men and women in the United States. Why do you think they're doing it?
Yeah. That's
No, but we
interesting.
got into that last week too with
Joe and
Jack
Jack.
and Jack, Joe and Jack, and this ties back to it. And you know, you went from the meth labs, the one-shot lab, to nothing because the cartel said we got you.
Yeah.
we
You
can
know,
do this.
And they've been
now these meth cooks are unemployed. What the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, they've been operating that way since the 1800s, right? The cartels
Wow.
were UPS and FedEx for everything bad coming out of Central America into the United States.
That's unbelievable. That is, well, I guess that's a good way to end it. We ended the show last week with, I think Riley was telling the Americans how porous the border was.
Oh, God. Yeah, when Jack was down at El Paso, holy cow.
Yeah.
I remember when he left St. Louis, went to headquarters and then down to El Paso. He said, hey, any of your guys want to come down to El Paso, see what the world's really like? Let me know. So I called him up. I said, hey, I'd like to send 5 of my guys down, spend a week down there with you, seeing what the border's like. He goes, do not send them here. This place is effed up.
Well, I mean, you're a hero.
No,
Think about it.
not even close.
Chasing this, and look what it did to your lungs. You know,
Well,
and, I learned having you was like having a science class on today. Anhydrous. What's it chasing, JJ?
Water.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
We're on a roll, though. That's now we're 2 shows in a row. We've had people that testified in front of Congress.
Yeah.
And they didn't listen
I
either
think I
time.
would do good in front of Congress. What do you think?
I know. I think you would.
I think I do pretty good in
Oh,
front of
yeah.
Congress.
We
So,
dress you up.
hold
I don't know
on.
which
It'd
one
be
to
entertaining,
testify
that's
to.
for sure.
Who's our third going to be? Stormy Daniels?
Drinking Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Best Tom will do is to testify in front of the Congress Hotel.
I think just go in there with a head, little head bob. What's up?
Oh, my God.
No mobile nod.
Yeah, give them the mobile nod. What's up? And then let them fire away.
Tell you, those mobile guys are great. We worked a crack cocaine case. We were working out.
You don't have to do this. If you don't
No,
want.
we were working 3 blocks behind St. Louis
No,
County's
you got to
Academy.
give JJ his
Off a page.
His
Kool-Aid.
That's suck up to JJ.
I tell you what, an area where they were doing a bunch of revitalization work there off Skinker, and we were calling out cars. I was sitting in the van, sweating to death, calling out cars. Now I'm colorblind, by the way, and on top of that,
Was that from the meth?
no, it's just from being ignorant.
Okay.
And I'm calling out cars, and mobile's picking them off left and right, just nailing them. And mobile guys came down and testified in federal court. We did 28 people in that roundup, and the top guy got 4 life sentences plus 40 years.
300,000 people a year.
Tom
from the
used
age of
mobile a lot
18
too.
to 37.
Everybody uses
Hey, that's because we knew you were so damn good.
I don't know. Oh, they were good. Now they were good. I ain't gonna lie about that. I was just laughing at the fact that Danny was talking to me and JJ just did JJ's thing.
He just over there muttering.
That's funny.
I think we'll end it
That's
with
funny.
300,000 people.
There you
All
go.
right, that's a good ending. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Jason,
much
for
for
coming
Hey,
on.
thanks,
and
guys.
Thank you,
Thanks
buddy.
for
we
all you do.
appreciate all you did
Thanks.
against
Do
that
your
war
homework
on
next
meth
time,
because
would
that
you?
was some funny. That was some funny stuff. All right, thank you.